My name is Pejman Hadadi, and I would like to introduce this amazing drum to you. The drum is called DAF, D-A-F it spells. This version of the DAF drum is a creation of Remo. I would like to say that by far this is one of the best synthetic DAFs that it's been ever made as far as the sound quality and the entire structure of the drum. For instance, as you can see here, the thumb section, when you hold the DAF, there's a cushion kind of or a memory foam kind of a thing for your thumb, so it doesn't make you tired or you don't get blisters on your hand when you play this drum. And the main important factor is the sound quality and the quality of the drum head by itself, at the same time with the beautiful prints and everything that has on it. This drum is originally from Iran, belongs to the northwestern part of the country, from Kurdistan, and it's considered a sacred instrument among the Sufis and the dervishes. Later it was brought into classical Persian music, and then it was used in different genres of music. These days it's becoming a very popular drum among many percussionists around the world. I would like to briefly talk about the structure of the drum and how you play the main or the important strokes on this drum, and how you hold it in a most comfortable way. The way you hold it on your right hand, for left-handed people, you separate your arm from your body. You don't attach it too close, or you don't keep it too close to your body. It's kind of separated, and you don't, at the same time, you don't keep it too far. You don't feel any tension on your arm or anything. So hold your arm in a very comfortable position, a little bit far from your body, and your arm is parallel to the ground. And your hand position is sort of in a shake hand position. Your thumb and the index finger do most of the gripping. That's how you hold the drum. Not on your palm. Make sure that you don't hold the drum on your palm, because then you're going to limit your strokes. You just hold it on this part of your index finger and close it with your thumb. You don't hold the drum on the palm of your hand, but your hand is mainly in a shake hand position, and the three fingers, the pinky, ring, and middle finger, are kind of near each other, and you separate the index finger a little bit. The entire drum is controlled with mainly the thumb, and the index finger kind of holds the drum. And this is where it sits, right on this soft part of your index finger, and your thumb, without pressuring it too much, holds the DAF. So this is how you position it on your hand. Hold the thumb, close it without pressuring it too much. You don't want to have a very hard grip in order not to limit your strokes again. And it doesn't sit on your palm like this, so kind of separate your palm so you have this rotation ability like this. And pay close attention to here. When I talk about the strokes, make sure that your elbow is not moving too much when you do the strokes. It's not the rotation of the entire elbow in your arm, but mainly it's focused on the wrist. See this motion right here? I'm kind of doing it in an exaggerated way, but it's this kind of a motion. So I'll show it to you from a different angle now. Okay, so see the index finger basically just rolls up and down. You saw the position of the thumb. The index finger just kind of controls the DAF and holds it, and then there are these three strokes. So each time it hits with the three fingers that I mentioned, it lands on almost the edge of the drum, not very center. You don't want to get a bass sound. A little bit. So it's kind of a close sound. Okay, so here's the front angle of the bottom hand. See how the index finger kind of rolls up and down? It doesn't do any of the strokes. It's mainly these three fingers, and you saw the position of the thumb from the different angle, how it was locked. So basically you have to give the freedom of this kind of a rotation, kind of a motion here for your hand to be able to get these strokes out of it. See, I try not to move my elbow or not to move my arm so much when I do this. So another important thing is how you balance the weight of the drum between your right and left hand. It's not always controlled by the thumb and the index finger of the bottom hand, but you also have to push the drum a little bit and kind of divide the weight of the drum between the thumb of your free hand, I would say, or your upper hand, and a little bit of the weight on the lower hand. There are three main strokes that create so many different rhythms and patterns on this drum. Two of them are with the free hand or the upper hand, in this case my left hand, and one of them is with the bottom hand or my right hand. The first one is the bass sound, a tom we call it. Tom, which is with 4 fingers closed. See how the position of the thumb is on the edge of the drum. It kind of lies on the center, and without blocking or using the entire part of your thumb, just on the first patting of your thumb, make sure that it kind of rotates up and down or turns up and down. See, my elbow again is not moving that much, or I don't move my arm like this. It's mainly focused on the wrist again. So the first stroke is the tom. What I suggest is to do repeated tom strokes in different formats or with different speeds. You can do a count of 4, for instance. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Of course, after a while, this might become kind of boring, but what you're doing is you're developing the sound, and you try to listen to the sound that you get out of the drum. So create different patterns just with a tom sound. Or any kind of rhythm that comes to your mind. Or if you want to keep it simple, you can keep it simple. But mainly the idea is to get bass sound out of the drum. 4 fingers closed, use the first patting of your 4 fingers, and you just saw how it rotates or how it turns around the thumb. The second stroke, it's called the back. The back, you have to get a high pitch kind of a sound, a little bit different from the bass sound out of the drum. It's mainly with these 2 fingers. There are a few different types of backs with different dynamics that you can do, but I'm just going to talk about the basic one right now, which you can use these 2 fingers, the middle and the ring finger, and you hit it on the edge of the drum. Make sure you don't hit it on the wooden part of the drum. Make sure it's kind of downwards. Your hand is downwards. See how it was for the bass sound or for the tom sound? It was right here, almost in the center of the drum. But this one, you kind of open your hand a little bit and lean your hand towards the lower part of the drum. So this is, see, this is called the back. And if you notice, most of the time I'm trying to get rid of the habit back to the lower hand, not to rest it on your palm. Don't get used to resting the diaphragm on the palm of your hand. So you have the back. And then same thing you can do with this one, just create different patterns. And then a good practice is to combine the tom and back together. Anything that comes to your mind. So the idea is to create more flexibility and speed in closing your fingers to create the tom sound, and then opening your hand to create the back. The third stroke is, again, with the lower hand, which I explained how you hold the drum on that hand first. And back to the stroke now, let's see that turning motion or that rotation needs to happen in your hand without using too much of your arm, and practice single strokes with your bottom hand as well. We call it calf. So we have the tom, the back, and then calf as the three main strokes on the daft drum. So now with having three strokes in your hand, just do any kind of combination that comes to your mind. Now I would like to talk about some rhythmic patterns that you can practice on this drum. One of them is in 4 beats. It's very simple. Just imagine 4 simple beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to break the second beat into two beats. So it's 1 full note, 1 full beat, and then 2 half notes or 2 half beats, and then 2 full notes again or 2 full beats. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Let's talk about the combination, how it goes on the drum. Beat number 1 is the tom. Those two small ones are tom and calf. So it's tom, calf. So it's 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, This is one of the main patterns called hayalla, which is a very common rhythm, and as a theme, it is used on the daft drum. But there are many variations that you can add to this. I'm going to go with 2 simple variations added to this main theme. The second part of the cycle, or the 4 beat, could be 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. That 1 and 2 and could be a combination of tom, calf, calf. So putting the 2 patterns together now, the first one and the second one, will create a longer cycle, which is you can add a second variation to it, which is the second one, tom, pare, tom, pare. So let's talk about the rings a little. What you might notice is the rattling sound that you can constantly hear while playing the strokes on the daft. That could become a little bit disturbing, obviously because you don't have control over these yet, but there are different practices and different forms to practice the rings. I'm going to show it. As I mentioned, you might, when you play the actual strokes on the drum head, you might notice this uneven sound created by the rings. Over time and over practice, you need to learn how to control the movement or the motion of these rings. But there are certain simple exercises and practices for them. What you can do as a first step is to kind of start controlling these ring motions, and later on this sound will be added to the rhythmic cycle that is played on the drum head. So the very first step, or the first basics practice for it, is going up and down and kind of a straight motion, but see again, you're not using too much of your entire arm. You're just flexing your elbow joints a little bit. So it's this kind of a motion without changing the position of your hand, not on your palm, remember. It's like this. So it kind of bounces up and down. So there's this downwards motion, and then you push the drum upwards. So it's bounce and up, bounce and up. And make it fast. Until you get into a comfortable position where it really kind of bounces up and down. And then combine it. When the DAF is settled in its place, when you take it up, when you bring it down, just play a tone stroke. One more time. And then remember the upwards motion, play a backstroke, and then push the DAF back up. Now combine them. See, you're doing the same thing, the same motion that I showed you, but you're doing the strokes at the same time. Now you can hear the sound of the rings in a better order. So back to the first pattern. On the downbeat, which is beat number 1, add that motion, the ring motion. And on the last beat, if you notice, I'm pushing the DAF up again. These are just some basic exercises for gaining more control on the rings and the chains inside the DAF drum. I would like to talk about a different pattern now, which is in 6 beats. We talked about 1 and 4 beats. This one is in 6. It's very simple. Counts of 2 groups of 3 you can put together. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what the pattern consists of. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rest. The 6 beat, you can give it a rest. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the first part of the pattern. The second time, when you play it for the second time, instead of starting with a tone, start with a backstroke. Back, 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 tone, back. Let's put them together. First time with a tone, second time with a back. Once you're comfortable with the order of the strokes, you can make it a little faster. While holding the drum on your hand and playing the strokes, especially in the beginning that you're not very familiar with the drum yet, what you will notice is that the drum might kind of shift back and forth, and you might think that you're losing control of the drum and kind of tilt back and forth. So in order to have a better grip, there's a very good exercise for it. later on, this is part of a DAF technique that you will see in the performance part that I'm going to do, but for now, it is very important to build some muscles on your grip, on this part of your thumb right here. So when you have this grip, as I mentioned in the beginning, you don't need to have a very hard grip on this part of the drum, but hold it on this part of your index finger again. Open the DAF and make sure that you have your other hand, your upper hand, blocked on the drum head so you won't drop the drum. And kind of open and kind of pull it with the tension of your thumb without putting too much pressure, and that's another reason you have your upper hand controlled here. You're going to push it up with this hand as well. So do this practice and make sure that the DAF is not covering your face. See, the whole time I was talking to you, you could see my face even when I was playing it. Most of the time when you play the DAF, it's to the side of your body. You don't hold it here because you might kind of hit your face and so see, open and close. But don't overdo it. Do, like, for instance, the first day do 10. After a couple of days, do 15, and gradually add to it. So it's kind of a weight exercise. And keep in mind, not to hold it on the palm of your hand. Again, the same grip right here, shake hand position. To the side of your body. Keep in mind again that anything you do is the drum is not covering your face.